You are about to step into the Berel Solomon podcast show. No fluff, talking about greatness, talking about wealth, talking about how to become the number one man or woman in your space. Let's roll.
For real Jewish businessman. Shout out to homie Solomon. Nobody was following that, everybody follow him. For real Jewish businessman.
Welcome everybody to today's episode of the Berel Solomon Show. So today we have a very special episode. We're going to be talking about prerequisites for good clients. Not all clients are created equal. And I'm going to discuss what it is I mean when I say that. You want good clients, ladies and gentlemen. You do not want sucker clients. So here is my sure way of how I built a $1 million business with God's help. Using these tactics. It didn't happen overnight. It took 1.5 years to get to this point. But now that I got it, I'm going to give it to you. All right, check this out. The first and number one way to choose your clients is to have a full pipeline. All right, you cannot choose clients if you only got one client. I was talking to a lady last night and she was telling me how she wants to fly under the radar in her business. I have tremendous respect for her, by the way. She's a very close friend of mine. But I said to her, so I would assume, here's an assumption, I would assume that the clients you currently do have barely are able to pay you. She said, yeah, that's true. And I said, I assume that the clients that you have right now are weirdos. And she said, yeah, that's true. They're very low socioeconomic clients. And I said to her, that is specifically because you are flying under the radar. You cannot have good quality clients unless you have an abundance of people to choose from. For example, you have 100 seeds in a bag, only 7 of them are good. You're left with 93 loser seeds. You gotta have 1,000 seeds so that your ratio goes up. The number one way to choose incredible clients is to have a plethora. That's right, I said plethora. You like that word? Thank you, Mrs. Hoffman, grade 6. You have to have she was actually a really tough teacher. She always failed me. But look at me now, Mrs. Hoffman. Look at me now. You have to have a plethora of really good clients. By the way, it's still crooked. Could you fix it? You have to put a block under your right leg. Bigger than that. You gotta have a full pipeline. The way to get a full pipeline is to crank, advertise, get your name out there, be in Yiddish what we call a mashugana, a crazy person about getting your business out there, your message out there, your brand out there, because you're going to attract 100 people, but out of those 100, you only really want to work with 3, because the other 97 people are going to try to hustle you down, all right? They're not people you want to be working with. Let's jump into it right now. What is the second prerequisite for a very good client? By the way, please ask your questions on Facebook and Instagram. I will not end this live without answering your brilliant question. They have money. You cannot squeeze water from a rock. 2, they got money. You want to make sure that whoever you're dealing with can actually pay you. That is the number one important thing in business. When goods or services are exchanged, there needs to be money. I don't care how good your offering is. If your prospective client does not have money, you cannot bill them. We tend to only work with companies that have 10 people plus. That's on the small side. And we try to do companies that have at least $5 million worth of sales. You remember the Jenga game? When you guys were kids, when we were kids, Jenga is like this building, right? And it has like all these blocks. And when you pull the Jenga pieces out, you have, guys, can you lower your ringers, please? Jenga was that game of blocks. Whenever you pull a piece out, the structure got weaker and weaker and weaker until the last guy pulls out the Jenga piece and the whole thing falls. When I'm pulling out my Jenga block, meaning when I'm pulling out my fee for charging to doing a corporate video or for doing a marketing campaign for that company, I want to make sure that I'm not pulling out the last Jenga block and the whole thing falls. I want to pull out the first Jenga block that the whole structure stays intact and it's almost as if they didn't even feel it. That's what I mean by when customers have money. I want when I charge 10, 15, 20, 50, 150 grand, it doesn't even touch the organization. I had a meeting with a lady a few months ago. We signed a deal with her. She wrote me a check on the spot for $100,000. She didn't even sweat about it. She didn't even ask anybody about it. Why? Big organization, hundreds of millions of dollars in sales, first Jenga block, didn't affect them. We ballin'. All right, next. Second prerequisite is we can help them. I do not want your money if I cannot help you. Meaning, I don't want to charge people an arm and a leg and a toe if I cannot help them. Because then they're going to go back in the market and say, wow, Berel Solomon promised me the moon and the stars, and I ended up with absolutely nothing, and I paid him a whole bunch of money to do it. So we are honest people here, we're God-fearing, and we also stand by our reputation, and we do not like to charge people without seeing results. So second prerequisite to helping people out is A, do they have money? But B, can we help them? I'll give you an example of a industry that I cannot help. I cannot help real estate brokers doing commercial real estate. I just can't. Maybe we can make a video for their what's it called? For their buildings. But real estate brokers are notorious for being very cheap. That's why they're called brokers, because they're always broke. And they do not want to pay anything for anything, all right? I also understand, by the way, they also get paid when the building gets sold. But hey, all of them are doing it so cheap. Spend a few bucks on your marketing and you're going to win. So I cannot help real estate brokers. They're on their own on this one. They want everything on the cheap. I could charge them a lot of money, but can't help them. Next, all the real estate friend brokers that I have, I love you guys. You guys should be all very successful, but stop being so cheap. Next prerequisite is there is repeat business. So I just came from a client just now, 30 minutes ago. And they wanted us to build them a website. And I said, great, I could build the website for you. But after we do that for them, there's no future business with them to be done. We're going to build that website. It's going to tie up my guys for a month. I'm not going to be able to accept any other website work for a month. And when I'm done, I'm left with nothing. I'm left with the contract that I had from them, and I have to literally restart from scratch all over again, which is extremely difficult. I don't want to do that. So now that we have done, I had 18 months in starting this business, and I tasted. I'm dropping. You guys, if you were watching last week, we did a video on how to build a niche. I'm going to drop that video on my Facebook page tomorrow. By the way, if you are watching this, please ask your questions. Instagram, Facebook. I think we have a couple comments here actually. Hope they're not from real estate agents. And you could also find this on Spotify. You could find it on Stitcher. You could find it on iTunes. You could find it on all of your favorite blogs, all of your favorite, what are they called? What are they called? Podcast stations. We're actually dropping it in 10 days, so watch out for it. You're going to be able to find this podcast everywhere and anywhere. You can check out my YouTube channel, anything. It's going to be awesome. But back to what we're talking about, repeat business. There's no repeat business to do. So I just didn't want to do the business. I literally said to the guy, I'm not interested. Guys, please ask your questions. Instagram, Facebook. I will not leave without answering your questions. I didn't want to do the business because I'm going to have to invest so much time and energy. So after a year and a half, after 18 months, I was able to see what businesses were able to give us repeat business. I know I keep on, mentioning the nursing home business, but that's great for us. A lot of these guys have 60 homes, 60 nursing homes. So when you do a good job on half a dozen of them, they'll give you another 10 of them, 15, 20, whatever it is. And they need websites, they need social media marketing, they need videos, they need all kinds of stuff. There's other industries we're going into. We're going into the rehab business. We're going into what other businesses are we going into, Elias?
The assisted living.
Assisted living.
Skilled nursing
facilities. Adult daycare centers. It's a huge business in the United States of America, and a lot of these guys own more than one. So I'm going to invest my time. We even offered doing for one client a free video for one of his nursing homes. The group owns almost 100 homes. I don't care to lose the money on that one because the future is so big. My time is valuable. So every time that I'm on a phone call, I could either be making one deal or I have the potential to make 100 deals. Where do I want to spend my time? But again, it all starts with number one, which is you have to have a full pipeline, ladies and gentlemen. If you suck and your marketing sucks, and you're flying behind some radar that somebody put on top of your head for I don't know, God knows what reason, you cannot choose because you suck, because you only have a few options. You gotta go wild, you gotta go nuts. No brilliant business person that you ever met, no great business that you ever saw flew under the radar. I don't know where this concept came from. Don't listen to your father. Don't listen to your mother. They're broke if they flew under the radar. You want to go big. You want to go for broke. You want to go powerful. Bill Gates. Give me some other billionaires here. Mark Cuban. Who else? The guy from Shark Tank. Grant Cardone. Who else are the big boys? The guy who owns Walmart, Mr. Walton. These guys Elon Musk. These guys don't fly under the radar. They fly big, and they're able to choose the projects that they want. You think Elon Musk, Tesla was his first project? The guy has hundreds of projects, and he's able to choose the best ones because he goes big. Stop going small, people. What's with just paying your bills? I don't get it. Let's be wealthy. Let's make something of ourselves. Next, this one I love. They want us. When I go into an Apple store, they don't have to sell me. I'm already sold by the time I get in. Why? Because their marketing is on point. All my friends have their product. I already did enough research on the product. I was never once in an Apple store that the guy had to hard sell me into order. By the time, when I walk into that store, I have a mission and I'm leaving with something because I'm already sold. I want it. That is the best type of client, when they want you, but your marketing has to be killer in order for that to happen. We have a prerequisite at Globe Metal, at Wealthy Commercials is we do not cold call. They call it cold calling for a reason because it is cold. It's ridiculous. We only do warm calling and we only do inbound calling because when they're calling us, it means they want us. And that is a very powerful position to be in, especially in a business relationship. Guys, that's your questions. Instagram, Facebook, we're here to answer. Don't be shy. Don't be a creepy lurker. Ask your questions. All right, number 6. They pay. You wouldn't believe how many people out there don't pay. This goes back to the real estate people, by the way. If you guys are bad payers, okay? I've worked with a lot of people in construction. I have friends who are really good payers and who pay on time every single time, but I don't understand what it is with real estate people, construction. Maybe it's because they don't get their money until the building is completely built, and therefore, I had a client in Panama. The guy just didn't pay me, and he told me it was my fault that he didn't pay me. It was just crazy. It was sad. Maybe because they're so over leveraged in the building and they only get their money 3 years later after the thing is completely built and people move in. So we like to do business with people that have a cash flow. Not when the cash is frozen. We like when their business is already making money. That's why I don't do business with startups. We don't want you. Charities, stay at home. There's plenty of other people who do it for you. We won't, because you don't have money. If I'm going to do something for your charity, it's going to be for free, and I'm going to consult, and I'm going to be involved, but I do not expect to get paid by charities. They have a hard time paying because they're for non-for-profits. If you're non-for-profit, then you have non-paychecks going out the door to your suppliers. We don't want it. We like companies who are able to pay because they have a lot of money. This is intense. It's not so politically correct, this show. Not so politically correct. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not going to tell you what everybody wants to tell you, okay? I'm going to tell you the raw truth. You want to make it in business? You want to make millions of dollars in sales? Hang on with me, and we're going to do it together. And when I do become a 100 millionaire with God's help, I'll teach you how to do that also. I don't know how to get there yet, but follow me, and I will promise you when we get there, you're going to figure it out too. They have to pay. In order for them to pay, they have to have money. Stop going towards your friends, your guy who runs a massage parlor out of his basement, who charges $60 an hour, who has 4 clients a week, does not have money. Okay? Next. Here's another very important factor with good clients. Guys, please ask your questions on Instagram and Facebook. We will not leave the show without answering your wonderful question. 7. They don't negotiate. A great client is a client that does not negotiate. When people come to me and they offer me a product or service, I never, ever, ever negotiate with them on price, because when they offer me something, if it's too high and I can't afford it, I'll straight up tell them, listen, I can't afford this. And I'll just move on to the next guy. Then when he quotes me his price and he's happy to do the job for me, I have a guy coming in tomorrow, and he's going to quote us on a server for our websites. a server to share our videos so that they don't have to transfer between computer to computer. He already told me it's going to cost 10 or 12 grand. The last thing I'm going to do is bring him down to 8 or 7. Few things are going to happen if I do that. One is he's not going to put his heart into it because he's going to be frustrated that he's not making what he feels he should make. Two is he's going to make what he wants to make anyways, and the corner is going to get cut, and it's going to get cut on me, whether the technology that he's using is not as good as it could have been, whether the quality of staff that he's using is not as top guys. I want, when I pick up the phone at 11:59 p.m. on a Thursday night, the guy says, yes, sir, Mr. Solomon, my favorite client who pays his bills, who doesn't negotiate me, how could I help you? So with our clients, we do the same thing. Our packages start anywhere from $9,000 to $100,000. If a guy tries to negotiate me to $8,000, I say this regularly in a lot of our meetings. Guys, please ask your questions, Instagram, Facebook. I know I have a question. I'll get to it in 1 second. Thank you, Grace. By the way, Grace is the best. Check her out. Where can they follow you? She sets up this whole thing. Where can they follow you? Jeter. At Jeter, Instagram. Check her out. She's awesome. She sets up the lives every day. Where was I? Oh yeah, I regularly say this. If I'm quoting a guy 15 grand for a project, I say to him with my most serious poker face, which I really do mean it, sir, and he tries to hustle me down on price, sir, if I have to go to $4,999 and I'm charging $1 less, I would prefer not to accept the job, because for that $1 less, something is going to suffer and something on our quality is going to suffer. And when I accept a job, I want to do it with my full heart and soul. And if I have to negotiate on price, something will suffer, and I'd prefer not to do anything less than our best. How many times do I say that, Elias?
Every single call.
Every single call. How many times does it work?
Every single call.
Every single call. People want you to stand behind your price. People want to know that they're getting the very best for their. I see I have an angry face. Who put an angry face? That was for sure real estate broker on Facebook. Real estate brokers, you always broke.
Oh man.
Next. Cheers. Let's go. Question. What do we got?
Shlomi Kernblue asks, hey Berel, what kind of terms do you give for your customers?
Shlomi Kornblue, thank you for asking the question. Very good question. When I first started my business, I would charge like this. I would charge 50% on signing of the contract and then 50% on completion of the project. Here's the problem with this pricing structure, which I know a lot of you use, so that's actually a brilliant question. Thank you so much for asking. Here's the problem. You run into two problems. One is 50% of a project is a lot to pay in advance. First of all, when you just met the guy, and second of all, when no work has been completed. Second of all, even if you do get the 50% chunk at the beginning, you have to wait all the way to the end of the project. In our case, sometimes it could be up to 60 days from the beginning of the project to the end of the project. And that's a really long time to wait for your money. And you're going to experience cash flow problems. And what happens is you end up actually financing the job yourself, and you have run out of money, and all of your profit is tied up in this 50%, while in the meantime you're starving because you've already spent your 50% and you have cash flow problems. I was going through a lot of cash flow problems with this pricing structure. So anybody who's in a service business, anybody who's in the construction business or remodeling business of kitchens where there's graduated work, here's what I use now. It's brilliant. We've run into no cash flow problems. I'm actually going to be doing a video soon in the next few weeks. It's going to be controversial, but it's going to be on how to bank your first 100,000, because we're getting there. We're getting wealthy commercials are just about to be there. How to bank your first 100,000. We're going to get to that. It's going to be a sick video. I don't want to drop it until I see those 6 figures in my bank account, okay? Because I will never tell you something that I have not done. Okay, but what do we do now? Questions on Instagram and Facebook, please. Don't be a creepy lurker. 25% on signing, okay? 25% on shoot date, 25% on rough draft, and 25% on final delivery of the product. Many, many, many advantages to this. Let me tell you just some of them. One is 25% of a project is not so much to risk people are willing to risk that on a person. So 25% on signing, it's a lot easier when you're in that first meeting with a customer to push the contract towards them like this, hand them the pen and have them sign at 25%, because it's a risk that most people are willing to take, and for sure a lot more people are willing to take a 25% risk than a 50% risk, because technically you could just run off with the money, which I do not suggest doing, and then you are stuck. But 25% upon signing, brilliant. Next, 25% on the shoot date. So at least that you have not dipped into the cash flow of the company. This applies to, let's just extrapolate it to a few different industries. Shoot date for us means the day that our cameras are live in the facility or in the property or at the company that we're shooting. Guys, please ask your questions on Instagram and Facebook. I will not leave without answering them. So 25% on the shoot date, let's extrapolate it to some other industries. If you do remodeling for kitchens, you take a 25% deposit and 25% when you smash your hammer across their counter for the first time, all right? So that way you're 50% in the job, you have some cash flow. Then 25% on the first draft. So again, for our business, we deliver to them a first draft of the video. At that point, I've done about 75% of the work, which is why I'm being paid for 75%. And then when they accept the final. So again, let's just go back to the remodeling guy. If you're a kitchen remodeler, you take 25% when you are 75% done the job and you're almost there. And for the final touches, you know, because in any job, there's always final touches. They want a different knob, they want a different whatever it is. At that point, you take this, and then when they have given you the thumbs up and approved it, you take the final 25%. Another reason why that's great is because your cash is flowing, all right? This is something that people don't understand. You need your cash to flow because while you're bringing in money into your company, yeah, sure, we charge, 12, 15K for a project, but I don't get to keep all that. I have rent, I have staff, I have insurance, I have an alarm, I have this, I have that, I have all kinds of great things going on. That I have money flowing out of my company. I need money flowing into my company in order to keep the cash flow going. What happens is when you have too much money going out and not enough money coming in, you end up with what's called a cash flow problem. That is not a problem that you want to be in, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching today's episode of The Berel Solomon Show. Want to give you guys a blessing. Really, real estate agents, you're not so bad. But if I could give you a word of advice, spend money. Because you got to separate yourself from all the other real estate agents out there because there's so many of them and there's nothing that will differentiate you from the next guy except for A, your hustle, and B, your marketing. So if you spend money, and we don't do this, by the way, so I'm not trying to sell you. We don't do this. But if you could spend the money to hire a guy to do a drone shot of your facility, of the property that you're trying to sell, if you could hire a guy to make your marketing look better than the next guy, you're going to sell more products. So don't be cheap about it. Spend money to make money, invest money, go for broke. Borrow it if you have to, but don't be cheap with yourself. At the end of the day, you know what? We're going to do a show on this. Remember this, Grace? We're going to call it, the name of the show is, Your Marketing Director is Stealing from You. And really what I want to talk about is how the marketing director thinks they did you a service by saving you $4.99, but really they costed you a lot of money from choosing the wrong player and for going cheap on your company that you invested in. So God bless. Let's make America great again. Let's make our careers great again. Let's make our businesses great again, our banks great again, and let's have an overflow and a surplus. Oh, we have a question? Let's have an overflow and a surplus so we could stop being so selfish in our lives and we could help people around us instead of thinking about what I have to pay. Let's start paying other people's bills and let's start building for other people. Let's stop being so selfish, people. Thank you very much. Yes, last question.
One question
yes.
Before the end of the live.
Who's it from?
Sizzle Popcorn asks, how much do you think should be invested monthly towards a marketing budget for a new startup?
That's a really hard question. I don't think that you should invest any money actually at the beginning. I think you should be doing all the marketing should be done. Because marketing, by the way, does not work if you throw $500 at it. It doesn't work if you throw $1,000 at it. We're going into a marketing campaign right now, and I'm budgeting between $10,000 and $20,000 for this campaign. And the world is so big, the internet is so big, there's so much noise out there that it's almost like throwing a Coke can into the Grand Canyon. It's like you need to make a splash in the market. So unless you have 10 grand to push into a marketing campaign, I would suggest not doing it, because then you're going to say, oh, marketing doesn't work. Like you put $130 on an ad on Facebook and you've gotten the results, and then you say, well, marketing doesn't work. No, you have to have enough marketing to make an impact. So what I suggest that you do, Mr. Popcorn, what's his name?
Sizzle Popcorn.
Sizzle Popcorn. Be nice to know your real name. What I suggest you do, Mr. Popcorn, is you should document your journey in building your business and take advantage of Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and LinkedIn and Twitter and all these other great platforms. I actually don't use Twitter. Maybe I should, but I don't right now. You should take advantage of all these free tools until you have built yourself up 10 grand. When you have $10,000, then go hot and heavy into the market. I have not done it yet, to be honest with you, but I'll tell you right now that from our little marketing campaigns where I put like $200 into it, I got absolutely no. Oh, I want to hear it, even if it's ugly. Devin? Oh, cool. Sizzle Popcorn. Devin. Love you, buddy. Until you have 10 grand, don't push it in. That's my strategy right now. I wasted $100 here, $200 there, and in my mind, marketing didn't work. But I realized now they have to go big. So I'll let you know how those results were after my big marketing blitz. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. God bless. I will see you tomorrow, where we are going to be meeting with Jamie Ben Isri. By the way, I hope that you guys all come to our, we're doing a LinkedIn meetup in August 1st. We're going to be doing it in Brooklyn. It's going to be off the freaking charts. I'm going to teach you how to use LinkedIn better than anybody that you've ever met in your life. You're going to build. We made $1 million at LinkedIn in sales. Do you know what that means? Off of a silly little platform for free, Sizzle Pop. And it was awesome. Yes, we have another question, another comment, another concern. August 1st in Brooklyn, LinkedIn meetup. It's going to be hot. Tomorrow we have Jamie Ben Isri on the show. We are going to be talking about LinkedIn fakers, which I'm getting really tired of. People, I saw this guy the other day. I may call him out by name or may not. I will consult with my team. But the guy is a one-man show. Who knows if even if he has a client, just really good at getting videos out there. And he was telling people how to make money on LinkedIn, where I'm pretty sure he makes no money on LinkedIn. So there's a lot of LinkedIn fakers out there. You got to be so careful who you're getting it from. I will never tell you anything that I have not done.